Dear Chairperson, betting all delegates, skipping your lunch for me, thank you very much. I welcome you for this post-lunch quick bite session. My topic is TOLAC, that is Trial of Labor After Caesarean Section. TOLAC means when an ANC patient along with an obstetrician is planning for labor with an intention to deliver the baby vaginally. TOLAC doesn't guarantee vaginal birth. In case there are any complications or the labor doesn't progress as planned, the mother may still have to go for cesarean delivery. There is a review article in recent Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology in December module where they have focused their things on the rising trend of cesarean section. There is doubling of cesarean section in last 15 years globally, and it is a serious fact and declared as an eye-opener during the FIGO World Congress held in Brazil in year 2018. In India, the average cesarean section rate in primary gravida is 24%. It is more in educated people as compared to illiterates. The wealth index is also showing proportionate rise in rate of cesarean section in higher class as compared to labor class. Because of this rising cesarean section rate, we are likely to come across more and more cases of patients with previous cesarean section. As all of you know, repeat cesarean section carries a high risk of maternal morbidity as well as mortality and perinatal morbidity too. Let us see what are the risks with cesarean section and benefits of TOLAC. The maternal complications include complication during labor like PPH, urological complication, infection and pulmonary embolism, and risk related to anesthesia is more with repeat cesarean section. Though the risk of scar rupture is virtually nil in repeat section, but it is very low, 0.04 to 0.5% with TOLAC. The option of doing tubectomy is open with cesarean section if the patient doesn't desire further fertility. The recovery in hospital stay is less with TOLAC as compared to repeat section. The future pregnancy complications, which is most important, is risk of preterm, placenta previa and accreta and pelvic adhesions. They are more with repeat section as compared to TOLAC. Future vaginal birth is less likely and future pelvic organ prolapse is more with TOLAC as compared to repeat section. And the most bottom line is the risk of maternal mortality is 3 times higher in cesarean delivery as compared to normal labor. Not only mother, the baby is also at stake and risk. There is risk of iatrogenic maturity with repeat section. The risk of transient tachypnea of newborn RDS is more with cesarean delivery. The risk of IUD beyond 39 weeks is more with TOLAC. And the risk of hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy is very borderline more with TOLAC. The risk of cross-infection and obesity-related problem are more with a cesarean-born baby. The selection of criteria for TOLAC. The TOLAC is more successful in a patient where pregnancy is singleton, bivortex, previous one Caesar, age of patient less than 40, BMI less than 30, gestational age less than 40, baby weight less than 3.5, head is fixed, cervix is favorable, pelvis is adequate, previous cesarean was lower segment cesarean, and of course the interval between the last cesarean and current pregnancy, if it is more than 1 year, and absence of any associated medical and obstetric complications. And if the indication of previous cesarean section is non-recurrent, there are much scope of normal vaginal delivery. This is the VBAC's risk scoring system where the history and the current examination findings are taken into consideration and they have been given score 0, 1 and 2. If the score is high, the success rate is very high up to 80%, and if the score is low, the success rate may be nil. According to ACOG, RCOG and Society of Obstetric Gynecology of Canada, the success rate of TOLAC is between 60 to 85%. There are few contraindications to VBAC, that is the maternal fetal reasons to avoid vaginal birth are the contraindications like central placenta previa, gross CPD or transverse lie where there is no scope for vaginal delivery. And the previous uterine incision, if it is a classical or there is a T-shaped incision, then trial is contraindicated. Previous history of uterine surgery, rupture, hysterectomy, myomectomy, where the cavity has been opened is contraindicated for vaginal delivery. And significant inadvertent uterine extension at the time of primary cesarean section is also leads to failure of TOLAC. But you have to review the previous discharge summary, and it is our responsibility to maintain all the details what we have faced difficulties while doing cesarean section. Let us discuss a case, management of patient with previous cesarean section. A 29-year-old patient come to obstetrician for registration with a history of 8.5 months amenorrhea. She is second gravida. She had first cesarean section at Government Hospital, Pune, and she has delivered a 2.8 kg baby for fetal distress with meconium strain liquor, which is 3 years old now. Intra post-op stay was uneventful. Her menstrual history was normal. General system examinations are normal. And per abdomen, she is 36 weeks, head fixed, LOA, no tenderness, uterus is relaxed, FHS are regular. Cervix is soft, just effaced, admit one finger, head at -3 station, pelvis is adequate. Now if this patient comes to you, how to manage these patients? These are the investigations which were also normal. Sonography showed a single live intrauterine pregnancy, 2.840 grams weight, A5 is good, Doppler is normal. Now how to manage such patients? The most important thing in the management is the counseling of the patient during antenatal period. All the risks and benefits of TOLAC as compared to repeat cesarean section must be explained to the patient and her relatives. Counseling consent must be documented on a OPD paper. After thorough discussion, a shared decision must be taken regarding TOLAC. There are certain nice guidelines how to do antenatal counseling of patient with previous cesarean section. This is a checklist where you have to take the things you have talked with the patient. And your first counseling should be done after 20 weeks anomaly scan. That is the time where the anomaly is ruled out, there is no other major complications on sonography, and you have taken the detailed history of the patient. And if she is fit for TOLAC, then you do the counseling of the patient. And at this time, if she is not fit for TOLAC, you have to still counsel the patient that you cannot go under vaginal delivery. As I told that it should be a joint decision, so choice should be given to the patient, and you have to provide the leaflet which are self-explanatory where the vaginal delivery is feasible and where the cesarean section is required. Then the second counseling should be done after 36 weeks where the decision for the mode of delivery has to be taken, because over a period of from 20 to 36 weeks, patient can land up with various complications like toxemia, GDM, premature labor pains. Once this is overcome and now you find that she is fit, then you have to discuss with the patient and she has to inform that now she is for trial of vaginal delivery. And in case if she land up with preterm labor, what are the steps to be taken has to be told to the patient. The criteria is in favor of TOLAC in the present case which we have discussed. The interval between the last and this pregnancy is more than 3 years. Cervix is favorable, weight is favorable, biophysical profile on USG is normal, no associated risk factor, Bishop score is favorable, and pelvis is adequate. Now this patient is for TOLAC. Now how to plan for TOLAC? Whenever you decide that this patient is for TOLAC, you should wait and watch for spontaneous onset of labor pains till expected date of delivery. You should ask the patient to be ambulant, ask her to do antenatal exercises, advise her to keep daily fetal kick count chart, and come to follow weekly. Do bi-weekly NST if there is any problem with fetal movement chart. Now coming to the management during labor, the patient who is planned for TOLAC must be delivered in a suitably staffed hospital, well-equipped hospital with a continuous intrapartum care and monitoring with the resources available for cesarean section and advanced neonatal resuscitation. The third counseling comes in labor. The re-evaluation of patient in labor in consultation with senior obstetrician must be done to decide whether she is for VBAC or not. You should take an informed consent after admission. Arrangement should be made for the IV blood transfusion and ensure the availability of senior obstetrician, anesthetist and neonatologist. Check for the availability of responsible relatives till delivery. This is also important. The moment you decide that she has to be taken for section, no gents relatives available, and the ladies are afraid of giving consent, and you have to make the arrangement of blood transfusion in case of emergency. Maintain the partograph. Continuous CTG monitoring is mandatory. Patient should receive supportive one-to-one care during labor, and put a wide bore intracath in labor when the patient is in labor for the easy accessibility of IV line if in emergency arises. Epidural anesthesia is not contraindicated in TOLAC, but one should be very vigilant because patient won't complain of any pain in abdomen. So you have to monitor the signs of scar tenderness. The increased requirement of pain relief in labor should raise the suspicion of and possibility of impending scar rupture. The risk of scar rupture, as I told, is 0.02 to 0.5%. Most of the scar rupture occurs during first stage of labor, 18% during second stage, and 8% being diagnosed after the delivery of the baby. The clinical features suggestive of impending scar rupture, as all of you are learned, know everything. I will skip this slide. The features suggestive of rupture is very important. Acute pain followed by cessation of contraction, loss of contour of the uterus, loss of station of the presenting part, absent or irregular fetal heart rate, signs of shock, bleeding PV, hematuria, and hemoperitoneum. Now, why it is important to pick up the impending scar rupture? The early diagnosis of scar dehiscence or rupture followed by emergency LSCS or expeditious laparotomy and neonatal resuscitation are essential steps to reduce the associated morbidity and mortality. An observational study indicated a potential upper limit of non-hypoxic neonatal delivery of 18 minutes from the suspected scar rupture to delivery interval. Now, if the patient becomes a post-dated, I had one case where she has reported to me age 32 years, 41 weeks of gestation, and she has came for second opinion regarding the mode of delivery. Patient was under regular NC checkup with some obstetrician in private hospital. She was advised elective section at 39 weeks of gestation. But patient was not ready, and hence she waited another 1 week beyond her expected date of delivery. Now patient and relatives are very anxious and wants to your expert opinion regarding the repeat elective cesarean section. First baby is 2.5 years old. That caesar was done at government hospital for cervical dystocia. Post-operative stay was uneventful, nothing specific on general systemic examination, but on PV examination, cervix was uneffaced, admit tip of finger centrally placed, vertex higher floating, and pelvis was gynecoid. Her ultrasonography report was showing single intrauterine pregnancy, 38 weeks. Weight is 3.6 kg and AFI was 6.8 centimeter. The Doppler shows mild raised PI index in umbilical artery. CPR ratio was more than 1. What are the points which are not in favor of TOLAC in such cases with postdated pregnancy? Previous was the emergency LSCS, that too for dystocia. Gestation is more than 40 weeks, weight more than 3.5 kg, head is floating, placenta is grade 3 mature, oligohydramnios is there, and Doppler shows the changes raised PI index in umbilical artery. So surely this patient was for elective cesarean section. Now what is the optimal time for doing the repeat cesarean section? It is 39 weeks. Because if you do the cesarean section before 39 weeks, there is a risk of perinatal morbidity like TTPN and prematurity. So it is always better to do the cesarean section after 39 weeks. Now what is the risk if you continue the pregnancy beyond expected date of delivery? The risk of stillbirth increases. The risk of emergency cesarean section increases by 1.5 times in induced abortion than spontaneous labor. The risk of scar rupture is more in induced labor as compared to patient who goes in spontaneous labor. Now the next question to our mind, many patients who cross the expected date of delivery with cesarean section, we usually advise them elective cesarean section. But while going through these literatures, now the question can come to our mind is, can we induce the labor in patient with previous cesarean section? Yes, you can induce the labor, but misoprostol is contraindicated. And the risk of scar rupture is more with medical methods as compared to mechanical methods. But in a good equipped hospital where one-to-one intensive monitoring is there, you can give Pitocin drip, you can do the ripening of the cervix with the Foley's catheter, stripping of membranes. These are very safe and simple procedures. Is it possible to reduce the primary cesarean as well as repeat cesarean section rate? Yes, very true. With the hands joining with the patient and staff, together we three can reduce the incidence of cesarean section. A judicious selection of the patient for primary or repeat cesarean section, or giving the trial of labor in a patient with previous cesarean section if the criteria are fulfilling. Educating the patient and the awareness of the patient that to take the risk of TOLAC, and if they are in safer hand, that has been convinced, they will also cooperate for trial of labor. And of course, we have to rely on the staff. So there should be intensive monitoring, good gadgets if available. If you give the moral, emotional support to the patient, you can succeed in TOLAC in 80% of the cases. So to take home message, though TOLAC is not right choice for every pregnant patient, but it is a good option for many women. It is important for us to understand the risk and benefit in attempting the TOLAC versus repeat section. According to RCOG NICE guidelines, success rate of TOLAC is almost 60 to 85%. Proper selection of patient for TOLAC is necessary for positive outcome. Antenatal counseling, education of patient, and proper documentation is very important for good outcome of TOLAC and to prevent medico-legal litigations. Vigilant monitoring during labor will help to prevent scar rupture. Willingness of obstetrician and full support of hospital management in shifting the focus to normal delivery will definitely help to reduce the incidence of primary cesarean section. Regular audits by Robson classification system will help us to avoid necessary primary cesarean section. A team approach with sincere efforts and zest is must for successful TOLAC. Thank you so much for listening.